In the long, silent hours of the night, a fragile hush settled over the borderlands, a whispered stillness broken only by a faint rustling of distant trees and the occasional creak of old wooden structures. It was during these moments that Gintaras Žagunis, a man seasoned by years of service and driven by an unyielding sense of duty, found himself immersed in the quiet rhythm of anticipation. At 33, he was already burdened with memories that weighed as heavy as the cold Lithuania winter's air pressing against his skin. His position was simple but important: stand guard behind a humble hut that functioned as an improvised checkpoint, a fragile barrier between freedom and chaos, between Lithuania and the Soviet Union. The mood was tense and thickening, like the dark clouds gathering over a brewing storm. Now, more than ever, the atmosphere vibrated with silent hostility, threatening to ripple into violence. Gintaras loved his job, but it was a dangerous one. Lithuania's declaration of independence had ignited a fierce fire that the Soviet Union was desperately trying to stamp out. Each hour brought the threat of escalation, a reminder that the delicate peace they fought to uphold was as fragile as the snow-dusted ground beneath his boots. The story of Gintaras Žagunis begins in a small town of Rozalimas, born on June 20, 1957, when, at the age of 5, his family relocated to Trakai. It was here that Gintaras first stepped into a classroom, attending the Trakai boarding school. In 1957, he graduated from Lentvaris Secondary School No. 2, and shortly after, began studies at the Vilnius Construction Technical School. Following a mandatory phase, Gintaras served in the Soviet Army from 1976 to 1978. After completing his military service, he returned to his academic pursuits and successfully graduated from the Vilnius Construction Technical School in 1980s. As Lithuanian independence movement gained momentum during the Atgimimas era, Gintaras became an active participant in Sąjūdis, the pivotal political and social initiative for Lithuanian sovereignty. On August 23, 1989, Gintaras and his family took part in the historical Baltic Way, a massive human chain uniting Baltic nations in the pursuit of independence. He also engaged in activities in the Lithuanians Democratic Party, shaping political life in the wake of independence. His civic commitment deepened on November 11, 1990, when he joined the Vilnius detachment of the Lithuanians Rifle Union, an organization dedicated to defending the nation and fostering patriotism. Gintaras' journey in national service continued with his appointment on January 1991 to the Border Guard Service, first as a patrol team leader at Dieviniškės patrol point, and later as a board post commander. Coming back from his thoughts, Gintaras leaned against the warm wooden frame of the hut, cradling his thermos of hot tea, letting the warmth seep into his hands, trying to steady the jittering nerves that refused to relax. He would have liked to have a gun, but that was not an option. If Soviet aggressors would see a gun, that would be a cause for escalation, to start yet another invasion. So all he had was a radio, a police baton, a flashlight. That was it. Gintaras was meant to protect the border, but only that. He contemplated the plan: keep the checkpoint safe, wait for the bus that would ferry all of them back, and hope that time would pass without incidents. The hot tea, bitter, comforting, was fleeting in its solace. Every checkpoint like this was already abandoned. The government knew, tonight there will be violence. Tonight, blood will spill. His eyes drifted through the window, scanning the dim landscape beyond, where darkness cloaked the borders in shadows. From this vantage point, he noticed subtle signs of trouble. His colleagues came back with their heads down. Failure. Failure to move the checkpoint to a safer location. All of the tractor drivers were either drunk or refused to help the border guards. Okay, so now they can all hide somewhere until the bus arrives. But in some sort of cruel twist of fate, as he was saying those words, the bus broke down. The news that Gintaras received: they will have to spend the night here. Well, not they, Gintaras thought. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to do my job. But my friends, they will be safe. though he knew all too well that the danger was more often psychological and less physical. Recent provocations from Russian military forces, escalating border tensions, and the conflict in Shalchininkai, a Belarusian officer shot dead in a border skirmish, shot dead by a Lithuanian border patrol officer. This conflict hung like a dark cloud over their operations. That incident had changed everything. It had marked the beginning of a new, more violent chapter. Gintaras knew, he knew what was going to happen, but his love for his country and its people was simply too strong to be afraid, too strong to give up. He pushed open the doors of the hut. The crack echoed softly into the night. He stepped outside, senses finally tuned. Colleagues' voices drifted toward him, resigned, almost weary. "We should go hide together. There's a barn. The owners say we can stay there till morning." Gintaras agreed, even though his plan was different. Omon, a special group of, let's say, terrorists, were constantly shooting in their directions, screaming profanities, once even shooting directly at the bus that was carrying patrol guards. He knows that to them, an abandoned post is the perfect site. "Run, Lithuanians, run," they probably thought. Better to be cautious, everybody argued. But Gintaras won't abandon his post. His duty was unwavering: safeguard the border at all cost, even if it meant risking his own life. His gaze traced the silhouette of towering trees beyond the clearing, their forms shrouded in darkness, whispering secrets in the cold breeze. He was returning back to the border post, alone. His colleagues were barricaded inside the shed they planned to hide in together. Of course, Gintaras had no plans to actually hide. He was determined. His guard post won't be empty tonight, and if someone dies, it will be him. As the night stretched onwards, his mind drifted to the past, his days in the Soviet army, the years he spent in the service, fighting for stability that now seemed a distant memory. Returning home, he had clung to symbols of independence and freedom, small flags tacked carefully to his walls, old poems he recited in quiet moments, words that spoke of hope, of a land finally reclaiming its identity. The pages of those poems, long forgotten, stirred in his mind, filling him with mixture of pride and sorrow, knowing that each word was a tribute to those who had fought before him. Despite his resolve, a gnawing sense of dread persisted. The night grew heavier and darker, each sound amplified. Distant barking of stray dogs, the rustle of small creatures scurrying through the underbrush, and the soft whispering of wind through the trees. Gintaras moved cautiously into the shadows. Suddenly, a flicker, distant headlights cutting through the darkness, appearing without warning. It was unusual for vehicles to approach silently and without their main headlights, especially in such a tense climate. Gintaras flinched, instincts overriding caution. His hands would have gripped his rifle, but at the time, the only thing he had was his flashlight. He didn't feel safe, but no need to be afraid. The car rolled to a stop, its engine idling quietly. Carefully, he approached, eyes alert for any signs of threat. Inside, he saw a few unfamiliar men. No teenagers seeking a joyride, no locals out for a late-night stroll. The men's faces were grim, almost hostile, their body language tense and unwelcoming. A strange silence filled the air, broken only by the static crackle of the portable radio at his waist. The man's eyes flicked over him with suspicion. One of them, a taller man with a voice edged with menace, finally broke the silence. "Border guard?" Gintaras responded cautiously, voice steady but guarded. "Border guard." The man's face tightened as he pressed the question further. "Sąjūdis," a word synonymous with unity and a symbol of Lithuanian independence, but now laden with threat. Gintaras opened his mouth to reply, but before he could utter a word, chaos erupted. Metal flashed, gunfire exploded into the quiet night, scattering sparks and shattering the fragile peace. Bullets ricocheted wildly, tearing through the stillness of the night. Pain, lanced through Gintaras' chest, a sudden, fiery fire that robbed him of breath, and darkness clouded his vision. The world spun in disorienting circles as shouts erupted around him. The car sped up into the night. He fell to the ground, the sharp sense of iron thick in the cold air. It was an execution. His comrades burst through the shadows. They heard the shots. They broke through the door, frantic and desperate, trying to reach him before it was too late. They found him there, a fallen figure against the snow, his uniform soaked in crimson, yet his eyes burning with fierce pride. His thoughts hazed and flickered. Memories of Lithuania pulsed through his mind. The days of resistance, of demonstrations, of January barricades, each memory infused with a stubborn hope. He had recited that old poem, the one he still remembered by heart. Lithuania, my Lithuania, forever free, in timeless days. It was a prayer, a promise, and an anchor in turbulent times. Even as pain overtook him, he clung to the knowledge that he had done his duty. The first border guard slain in the pursuit of independence, a martyr whose story would be carried toward in the collective memory of a nation, awakening to its strength and resilience. On that fateful night, dark clouds hung over the Lithuania as Gintaras Žagunis faced a danger that was not the terrorist's primary target. They sought another border guard, linked to the violent past events, one who had previously confronted them, and one, as the criminals moved through abandoned checkpoints, they found no one. No one except one guard post manned by Gintaras, who, because of the bus breaking down, wasn't able to get away in time. And as we saw, he wasn't even planning to abandon his post. He wasn't even planning to abandon his duty and post. The attackers, linked to Omon, known for brutal repressions, had a history of silencing distress during Lithuania's struggle for independence. But in the end, Gintaras and other board guards managed to hold off the oppressors, not with bullets, but with courage and determination. Gintaras' heroism is commemorated through various honors, including the Order of Vytautas the Great and the memorial in his name. Gintaras was more than a border guard. He exemplified dedication, studying and working hard while nurturing a loving family. His commitment to serving Lithuania underscored his belief in justice and protection, embodying true patriotism. Every year, patriotic people gather to give Gintaras their respect and gratitude. And as the mayor of Šalčininkai told, Gintaras is the embodiment of duty, patriotism, and the courage even in the face of such oppression. His story is woven into Lithuanian identity. In closing, Gintaras Žagunis' life and sacrifice illustrated the power of courage in the fight for liberty. His memory lives on in the heart of those who cherished independence, teaching that freedom often comes at a cost. We honor him by remaining vigilant and committed to the ideals he represented, ensuring that his sacrifice was not in vain. Thanks for watching this video. If you have stories you want me to cover, not only from Lithuania, don't be shy and leave a comment below. As always, I appreciate your time, I say thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.